A common fruit, as sweet as your morning coffee, may be damaging your brain after 60. Dr. James Carter warns, this fruit and two others are linked to brain shrinkage, memory loss, and even silent strokes. Most people eat them without knowing, and the effects, they build up quietly. Until it's too late, you might not notice it at first. But it's there, if you're over 60, and you've felt a little slower lately, not just tired, but forgetful, foggy. You're not alone. It's not always age, sometimes. It's what's on your plate, even fruits. I know that sounds strange, but Dr. James Carter says the danger is real and silent, and many Americans are at risk, especially those who still enjoy a sweet snack on the front porch. Thinking it's harmless. Asterisk, let me show you what that looks like in real life. Mary is 65. She's a retired nurse, lives in Kentucky. Every Sunday, she brings a fruit salad to the church potluck, grapes, bananas, a little honey on top. She thought it was the healthy choice. But for months, Mary had trouble focusing. She'd walk into a room and forget why. She started writing grocery lists 3 times because she couldn't remember where she left the first 2. Then her daughter showed her the report from Dr. James Carter. Turns out, one of the fruits she used every week was on the list. And the more she read, the more it all made sense. Here's what Dr. Carter says to look out for. One of the fruits I ask my older patients to watch closely is the apple. Not because it's unhealthy by definition, but because of how much it's changed. Modern apples are much higher in sugar than they were decades ago. Some contain over 20 grams of sugar, most of it as fructose. And research has linked high fructose diets to increased risk of memory decline, reduced brain volume, and even early signs of neuroinflammation. In brains over 60, that matters. Because with age, the brain becomes more sensitive to blood sugar spikes and oxidative stress. That combination can slowly wear down areas involved in focus, learning, and short-term memory. So no, apples aren't poison. But if you eat them daily, especially on an empty stomach, you could be putting extra pressure on your brain. Without knowing it, I tell my patients, pay attention, because these changes are slow and often irreversible, and apples aren't the only sweet fruit we need to reconsider. There's another one that seems even more innocent, but in some cases, it may be doing even more harm. Grapes are another fruit that many people over 60 eat without thinking twice. They're small, sweet, easy to snack on, and they feel harmless. But here's what most don't realize. Grapes, especially seedless, supermarket varieties, are extremely high in glucose. They raise blood sugar fast. And when that happens repeatedly in an aging brain, it can lead to something far more serious than a sugar crash. Studies have shown that frequent glucose spikes can damage the brain's blood vessels, the tiny capillaries responsible for oxygen and nutrient delivery. Over time, this damage may increase the risk of microbleeds, inflammation, and what we call silent strokes. They don't cause immediate symptoms, but they build up. And years later, you may begin noticing confusion, imbalance, or sudden memory lapses without knowing why. Some researchers even suggest a connection between these patterns and vascular dementia. I've seen patients who were active, alert, but still reported feeling cloudy or forgetful after meals. When we tracked their diet, grapes came up again. And again, now I'm not saying grapes are toxic, but if you're already at risk, high blood pressure, insulin resistance, brain fog, then a daily handful of grapes could quietly be making things worse. My advice? Don't stop enjoying fruit. Just understand what it's doing to your brain, because what feels like a healthy habit might be fueling a silent decline. And if grapes raise concern, there's one more fruit I have to mention. It's soft, familiar, and often considered the safest option, especially for seniors. But it might be the most problematic of all. Bananas are comforting. They're easy to digest, soft on the stomach, and naturally sweet, especially when fully ripe. But that ripeness is the issue. The riper the banana, the higher its glycemic index. And that means faster sugar absorption, bigger spikes, and more stress on an aging brain. For people over 60, those repeated glucose surges can lead to insulin resistance inside the brain itself, a condition some scientists now call type 3 diabetes. It's been linked to cognitive decline, memory loss, and early dementia. And while one banana won't cause this, eating them daily, especially on an empty stomach, could increase long-term risk. I've seen patients who were sharp, functional, but they felt mental fatigue by mid-morning. They couldn't figure out why. Turns out, for many, it was the banana they ate first thing in the morning. It wasn't nourishing their brain, it was exhausting it. Again, bananas aren't bad for everyone. But if your memory feels weaker, if you struggle with focus or feel mentally tired after breakfast, this might be worth reconsidering. I'd love to know. Have you ever felt like your mind was slower than it used to be, even when you were eating healthy? Tell me in the comments. And if this video is helping you think differently about your habits, consider subscribing. There's more to come. When some of my patients started cutting back on these fruits, or replacing them with lower sugar options, something changed. They told me the mental fog lifted. They felt sharper in the mornings, less confusion in conversation, more control over their focus. It's not a miracle. It's biology, clearing the fog so the sun can shine through again. And the body responds quickly. When we give the brain a break, whether it's swapping a banana for a handful of berries, or avoiding that afternoon grape snack, every small shift matters. Especially when you've still got so much life to live and stories to remember. It's not just about fruit. It's about protecting the brain before the damage becomes permanent, because these silent changes, they don't knock on the door. They creep in, you don't notice, until the moment you can't remember your own address or forget the name of someone sitting next to you on the front porch. So please, share this video with someone you care about, someone who still thinks that all fruit is always good. Because when it comes to the brain, not all sweetness is safe, and what you change today might be the reason you stay sharp tomorrow.